Hello everybody, it's me, Gloatysock, with another video on my official YouTube channel. And today, well, I'm starting another new section. Actually, this is the start of an exciting new era on the official Gloatysock YouTube channel. Yes. Today, I shall be beginning my new section where I read out of copyright famous stories. Yes. And the first one is going to be, well, Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson, which I think is a very, very interesting book, and I'm looking forward to reading it to you. But I shall not be alone, because what I'm going to do is read it, be the narrator of the story, and also play some of the characters, but I shall be ably assisted by my good friend, the actor, T-Box. On you come, T-Box.
Oh, Gloaty, I'm so happy to be on here. This is a great honor. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm looking forward to becoming a really big part of this. This is something I've looked forward to for a long time.
Oh, well, T-Box, I'm so happy that you can join us, because this is a really quite an exciting project to me, and it's good to be able to do it with a genuine acting talent such as yourself.
Oh, Gloaty, that you honor me with your compliments. This is the kind of project I've been looking for quite some time, so I'm so happy. I've been reading the text, and I'm really getting into the characters, so I'm looking forward so much in playing this role, and the roles that I'll be playing.
Yes, that's right, because T-Box is a highly talented actor, and what he will be doing is playing many of the roles that appear in Treasure Island, and I'll be playing some of the roles as well. So I don't know how far we're going to get today. I'm going to aim to do a chapter, but I might stop halfway through the chapter. Anyway, T-Box, if you'll shuffle off for a minute, I'll just get on with getting it started.
No problem, Gloaty. I'll just drift right off here off camera.
Oh, right, okay. Without any further ado, just get my auto cue working. Right. So, we begin. Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. Just go past the first page. I'll read the poem that is on the front page. It's a nice poem. It says, "Storm and adventure, heat and cold, if schooners, islands, and maroons, and buccaneers, and buried gold, and all the romance retold, exactly in the ancient way, can please as me, they pleased of old, the wiser youngsters of today. So be it, and fall on, if not, if studious youth no longer crave his ancient appetites forgot, Kingston or Ballantyne the brave, or Cooper of the wood and wave. So be it also, and may I and all my pirates share their grave, where these and their creations lie. Treasure Island." Oh, really sets it up, doesn't it? I won't read any of the other bits at the beginning. Let's see. Turn page. Part 1. The Old Buccaneer. Hey, I'm really excited about this. Come on. Oh, I've turned too many pages. Auto cue is playing up. Here we go. Chapter 1. The Old Sea Dog at the Admiral Benbow. Squire Trelawney, Dr. Livesey, and the rest of these gentlemen, having asked me to write down the whole particulars about Treasure Island, from the beginning to the end, keeping nothing back but the bearings of the island, and that only because there is still treasure not yet lifted. This gives away the plot a bit, really, but anyway, I take up my pen in the year of grace 17 - I don't know what that means, and go back to the time when my father kept the Admiral Benbow Inn. And the brown old seaman with the sabre cut first took up his lodgings under our roof. A bit of a crafty devil, this old sea dog, but you shall see. I remember him as if it were yesterday, as he came plodding to the inn door, his sea chest following behind him in a hand barrow, a tall, strong, heavy nut brown man, his tarry pigtail falling over his shoulders of his soiled blue coat, bleh, his hands ragged and scarred with black broken nails, and the sabre cut across one cheek. Off-camera assistant, show me, illustrate. A sabre cut, a bit like my hole where my eye is cut. You can just about see it there, underneath my eye. Sabre cut across one cheek, a dirty, livid white. I remember him looking around the cove and whistling to himself as he did so, and then breaking out in that old sea song that he sang so often. Oh, Yar! 15 men in a dead man's chest! Yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum! Wow, he's really good, T-Box. In the high, old, tottering voice that seemed to have been turned and broken at the capstan bars. Then he rapped on the door with a bit of stick like a handspike that he carried, and when my father appeared... Oh, you rap upon the thing. Go on, rap. He's rapped. And when my father appeared, called for a glass of rum. Arr! A glass of rum! Arr! This, when it was brought to him, he drank slowly, like a connoisseur, lingering on the taste, and still looking about him at the cliffs and up at our signboard. This is hardly a cove, says he at length, and a pleasant city-yard grog shop. Much company, mate. My father told him no, very little company. More was the pity. Can you turn the page, please, T-Box? Oh, that's too many pages. Hang on a sec, we've got too many pages turned. Here we go. Well then, said he, this is the berth for me. Here, you matey. Oh, it's the phone. Hello, everybody. I'll pick it up from where the phone rang, which was really annoying. Well then, said he, this is the berth for me. Here, you matey, he cried to the man who trundled the barrow. Bring up alongside and help up my chest. I'll stay here a bit. He continued, I'm a plain man. Rum and bacon and eggs is what I want, and that head up there for what ship's off. What you might call me? You might call me Captain. Oh, I see what you're at there. And he threw down 3 or 4 gold pieces on the threshold. You can tell me where I've worked through at, says he, looking as fierce as a commander. Ooh. And indeed, bad as though his clothes were, and costly as he spoke, he had none of the appearance of a man who sailed before the mast. No, but seemed like a mate or a skipper, accustomed to be obeyed or to strike. The man who came with the barrow told us the mail had set him down at the morning before at the Royal George, that he had inquired what inns were there along the coast, and hearing ours of well spoken of, which is nice, the people are speaking well of them, because it must have meant they were doing good business and keep looking after people, I suppose, and described as lonely, had it chosen from the others for his place of residence. And there was all we could learn from our guest. He was a very silent man by custom. All day he hung around the cove or upon the cliffs with a brass telescope. All evening he sat in the corner of the parlour next to the fire and drank rum and water very strongly. I'm drinking rum and wine very slowly. Water, actually. Mostly he would not speak when spoken to, only look up sudden and fierce, like this, and blow his nose like a foghorn. And we and the people who came about our house soon learned to let him be. Every day when he came back from his stroll, he would ask if any seafaring men had been along by the road. Have any seafaring men come along by the road? At first we thought it were for want of company of his own kind that made him ask this question, but at last, when we began to see he was desirous to avoid them, when a seaman put upon at the Admiral Benbow, as then did some, making by coast road for Bristol, he would look in at him through the curtained door before he entered the parlour, and he was always sure to be silent as a mouse when there was any such present. For me, at least, there was no secret about the matter, for I was, in a way, a sharer in his alarms. He had taken me aside one day and promised me a silver fourpenny on the 1st of every month if it would keep my weather eye open for a seafaring man with one leg, and let him know the minute he appeared. Often enough, when the 1st of the month came round and I applied to him for my wage, he would only blow through his nose at me and stare me down thusly. Stare me down thusly. Let's see, I've lost my place. One moment, please. Stare me down. But before the week was out, he was sure to think better of it, bring me my fourpenny piece, and repeat his orders to look out for that seafaring man with only one leg. What a funny request! How that personage haunted my dreams, I need scarcely tell you. On stormy nights when the wind shook the four corners of the house, and when the wind shook the four corners of the house, I've read the same thing again, and the surf roared along the cove and up the cliffs, I would see him in 1,000 forms, and with 1,000 diabolical expressions. Now the leg would be cut off at the knee, now at the hip, and now he was a monstrous kind of creature, who had never but the one leg, and that in the middle of his body. To see him leap and run and pursue me over the hedge and ditch was the worst kind of nightmare, and altogether I paid pretty dear for my monthly 4p piece, in the shape of those abominable fancies. Oh, poor old Jim lad, he was living a terrible dreams and everything. Anyway, but though I was so terrified by the idea of the seafaring man with one leg, I was far less afraid of the captain himself than anybody else who knew him. There were nights when he took a deal more rum and water than his head would carry, and then he would sit and sing his wicked old song, wild sea songs, minding nobody. But sometimes he would call for glasses round, and force all the trembling company to listen to his stories, or bear chorus to his singing. Often I have heard the house shaking with yo-ho-ho and a bottle of rum, and all the neighbours joining in for dear life, with the fear of death upon them. Oh, and each singing louder than the other, to avoid a remark, 'cause they was scared in case he bit their nose off or something. For in these fits he was the most overriding companion ever known. He would slap his hand on the table. Go on, slap your hand on the table. Good work. He's the best tea box. Slap his hand upon the table, and for silence all around he would fly into a passion of anger at a question, or sometimes because none was put, and so he judged the company was not following his story. Oh, what a rascal, eh? Wouldn't like to hang around with him. No, nor would he allow anyone to leave the inn till he had drunk himself sleepy and reeled off to bed. He was quite a tyrant, and I don't mind saying that. T-Box, you're doing this role spectacularly, if you don't mind me saying.
Oh, Gloaty, thank you so much. I'm really trying to absorb the part.
Well, you're doing an excellent job. I'm really glad I've asked you. Anyway, cracking on with the story. His stories were what frightened people worst of all. Dreadful stories they were, about hanging and walking the plank and storms at sea, and the dry torture gas and wild deeds and places on the Spanish Main. By his own account, he must have lived among some of the most wickedest men that God ever allowed upon the sea, and the language in which he told these stories shocked our plain country people almost as much as the crimes he described. He was buzzing. My father was always saying the inn would be ruined, for people would soon cease coming here. To be tyrannised over and put down, and sent shivering to their beds. But I really believed his presence did us good. People were frightened at the time, but on looking back, they rather liked it. It was a fine excitement in the quiet country life, and there was even a party of the younger men who pretended to admire him, calling him a true sea dog, and a real old salt, and such like names, and saying there was the sort of man that made England terrible at sea. In one way, indeed, he bade us fair to ruin us, for he kept on staying week after week, and at last month after month, so that all the money had long been exhausted, and still my father never plucked up the heart to insist on having more. If ever he mentioned it, the captain blew through his nose so loudly that you might say he roared, and stared my poor father out of the room. I have seen him wriggling his hands after such a rebuff, and I'm sure the annoyance and the terror he lived in must have greatly hastened his early and unhappy death. It's getting a bit bleak, this story. All the time he lived with us, the captain made no change whatever in his dress, but to buy some stockings from a hawker. One of the cocks of his hat having fallen down, he let it hang from that day forth, though it was great annoyance when it blew. I remember the appearance of the coat, when he patched himself up upstairs in his room, and which, before the end, was nothing but patches. He never wrote or received a letter, and he never spoke with any but the neighbours, and with these, for the most part, only when drunk on rum. The great sea chest none of us had ever seen open. He was only once crossed, and that was towards the end, when my poor father was far gone in a decline that took him off. Dr. Livesey came, or Livesey, I'll have to work out how that's pronounced, came late one afternoon to see the patient, took a bit of dinner from my mother, and went into the parlour to smoke a pipe. Well, I don't approve of that, by the way. No smoking of pipes is approved on the official Gloatysock YouTube channel, until his horse should come down from the hamlet, for which we had no stable at the Aubenbell. I followed him in, and remember observing the contrast in the neat, bright doctor, with his powder as white as snow, and his bright, black eyes and pleasant manner, made with the coltish country folk, and above all with that filthy, heavy, bleared scarecrow of a pirate of ours, sitting far gone with rum, with his arms on the table. Suddenly, the captain, that is, began to pipe up his eternal song. Your lid's coming off here, T-Box. Let me push that on for you. That's more or less.
Thank you, Gloaty.
It's your line. Yes. Pipe up his eternal song.
15 men on a dead man's chest, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum. Drink and the devil has done for the rest, yo ho ho, and a bottle of rum.
At first I supposed the dead man's chest to be that identical big box of his upstairs in the front room, and the thought had mingled in my nightmares with that one-legged seafaring man. But by this time we had all long ceased to pay any particular notice to the song. It was new that night to nobody but Dr. Livesey, and I observed it did not produce an agreeable effect, for he looked up at that moment quite angrily before he went with his talk to old Taylor the gardener. On a new cure for the rheumatics. In the meantime, the captain gradually brightened up at his own music, and at last flapped his hand upon the table before him in a way we all knew to mean silence. The voices stopped at once, but Dr. Livesey, he went on as before, speaking clear and kind, and drawing briskly at his pipe between every word or two. The captain glared at him for a while, flapped his hand again, glared still harder, and last broke out with a venomous low oath. "Silence there between the decks!" It's a little bit of a face-off coming here. For the next scene, I am going to be playing Dr. Livesey, so don't get confused, because I'll be narrating as well. "Silence there above decks." "Oh, were you addressing me, sir?" says the doctor. And when the ruffian had told him with another oath that this was so, "That is so." "I have only one thing to say to you, sir," replies the doctor, "that if you keep on drinking rum, the world will soon be quit of a very dirty scoundrel." The old fellow's fury was awful. He sprang to his feet, drew and opened a sailor's clasp knife, and balanced it upon the open palm of his hand, threatened to pin the doctor to the wall. The doctor never so much as moved. He spoke to him as before over his shoulder, and in the same tone of voice, rather high, so that all the room might hear, but perfectly calm and steady. "If you do not put that knife this instant in your pocket, I promise upon my honour, you shall hang at the next assizes." Then followed a battle of looks between them, but the captain soon knuckled under, put upon his weapon, and resumed to his seat, grumbling like a beaten dog. "And now, sir," continued the doctor, "since I know there's such a fellow in my district, you may count that I'll have an eye upon you day and night. I'm not only a doctor, I'm a magistrate, and if I catch a breath of complaint against you, if it's only for a piece of inclivity like tonight's, I'll take effectual means to have you hunted down and rooted out of this. Let that suffice." Soon after, Dr. Livesey's horse came to the door, and he rode away. That's clipsy-clop. But the captain held his peace that evening, and for many evenings to come. "Put you in your place, eh, captain?" Getting all leery and everything. Well, thus concludes Chapter 1 of Treasure Island, yes? Thank you very much to all participants, including you, T-Box.
Gloaty, it has been an absolute honour. I must say I am very proud to be involved in this project, and I do like supporting the arts in this way.
Well, thank you, T-Box. You've certainly brought the standard of production up. Well, that's it for today. Off you go, T-Box. Thank you. Chapter 1's done, but hold on. Chapter 2 will be appearing soon on my official YouTube channel, and the title of that chapter is Black Dog Appears and Disappears. Anyway, if you want to know when the next one's coming, either subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on Twitter at Gloatysock, or search me as Gloatysock on Facebook, and you will also find I have an official Facebook thing. I don't know what they call it, page. So, that's me for today. Thank you so much for watching this first chapter of my reading of Treasure Island. I'll catch you all next time. A bientôt!